Karibuni, welcome tuelimishwe kwa maswala ya jamii, tutumbuizwe sana mbalimbali, tujuzwe juu ya matukio ya kila pembe, tuwapa burudani kwa familia nzima.
Good evening, Mr. Eshuchi. How are you doing? Umerudi kutoka leave?
I'm very well. I was never on leave, manze. I've been around. Leave doesn't know people, but after everything resumed, we're just at it. How are you today, Mr. Eli?
I'm doing great, but I'm told last week you missed out on a session, and you have no idea venye kulienda. So Jemo and Mr. Gilbert prepared some information for you so that you can come and soak in. Let's take a look on how it went last week on the Men'sDen.
When the mother quantifies the kind of support that she wants, and if you do not match up, she perceives that you're not good enough and she does not want your support. Do we term this man as deadbeat still?
Unless the security of the kid is not assured. Even if I'm bringing 100, appreciate the 100 first and ask for more. The problem, some women don't even appreciate the little.
And the den is full. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you?
Fine.
Very well, Bana. People have baby faces here today, Bana. Matasyo looks like a baby. Eli looks like a newborn baby.
Pesa ni mzuri.
Okay, your babas are doing a good job. Or whoever your masseuses, How are you?
It was planned to welcome you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Matasyo, we are having problem hearing you. I don't know if it's only on my edge, but I hope we can be able to get you clearer as we proceed. So, gentlemen, deadbeat issue continues on the Men'sDen, and in case you're joining us for the first time, you can follow this link every single Tuesday right here on The Arts in Heart on Facebook and The Arts in Heart official on YouTube. Remember, starting the month of November, we'll be moving all our live shows to YouTube. So remember to subscribe, hit that notification button like Gilbert is doing right now, so that every time we go live, you are able to get those notifications. So, twende kazi wanaume. This has been a week already. I can't say that because tumeona recently I was actually reading today from one of the local dailies that is online platform called Tuko, of a gentleman that has been saying that amekatazwa kuona mtoto yet they are paying. And last time Matasyo told us you cannot pay for what you don't see or what you don't know. Hiyo ni ujinga. Where do we start, gentlemen? Eshuchi, let's start with you.
I look like an easy bait because I wasn't here. I feel like I'm being punished for absentia. Support. I listened into last week's shows and like I gave my feedback as well. It was an amazing show, and of course the insight there was so good and all that. But I think also in the end, this is just a matter of subjectivity. Like what people say all the time, we have the fundamentals, then we have the negotiables. What Gilbert says, I agree with. Gilbert says you have to support, whether presently, whether you are in the picture or not. I agree, that is fundamental. But we have the negotiables, and the negotiables are a lot. And this is where James' opinions usually really align with mine, because the circumstances really differ. Contexts are very different. You do not know. You don't just see a woman raising a kid on their own and readily imagine. And of course, the current society gets an easy axe on the man. You know, mwanamke anaonekana peke yake na mtoto, and you're like, okay, men, you know. So I also think there's we have the ideal world, then we have the realistic world. Yes, and often at times I've been in situations where I tend to have controversial opinions around circumstances where a lot of people who are really not doing the right thing then get umbrellaed in a popular opinion that tends to, validate them or validate their situation. So yes, give support. I agree, like Matasyo says, give support that is validated, that is quantifiable, but also let's work around the dynamics that precede the circumstance before we just get into throwing shells here and there, here and there, here and there. My take. Mr. Eli? Mr. Eli,
apologies, gentlemen, for that. I hope now we're good to go. I'm saying before Matasyo gets to write a whole dictionary trying to define for us what baby daddies should be doing or not doing. Matasyo, the gentleman in question is said to have moved on with their lives, but is still providing for this young child, the boy in question. Why then would this lady stop the man to have a relationship? And there's no any particular reason showing that the child situation could be in danger in terms of their security. What other reasons can one page to that?
I think, I don't know if you can hear me well, but
we are there about Nikama, but we can hear you.
Yes, I think it is a common, what I can call a common mistake mothers do to claim ownership of children. You understand? To use children as a bait. And I'll be very honest with you, it is also not only mothers or parents, it's from both sides, but also we have seen some systems, some orphanages and some things like that. You really can have a problem, you can be in a position, you have to pay for your child, but for one or two reasons, you're not able to see your child. Now, for me, what I see, there are two things. There are separation of fathers from children based on personal issues, and there are also separation of fathers from children based on what I could call legal issues. You understand? Maybe in absentia, maybe the parents, one parent is in prison, or even traveling, or one is in diaspora. All those things are there, something that you cannot take control of. But what happens mostly is when we forget the child and use the child as a bait for our own personal interests. That happens a lot. Now, the problem is, in most of these cases, the fathers are always the losers, and they have to be the losers. Because naturally, it is, I don't know, cultures are different, but you see a child from a very young age, they are much more closer to the mother physically and stuff like that. So it is a very common mistake in community, in society, in a lot of societies, that women take advantage of being in possession of a child and use it as a blackmail for what they need. Now, when I said it is stupid not to pay for what you don't know, can you hear me? Yeah. To bring it to the point, yes, they bring it to the point I said, I closed my document with, it is stupid to pay for what you don't know. If you do not understand, and if you believe and you think yourself, hey, I am working this much, I can at least at the end of the month or at the end of the year be able to buy my child a bicycle. That is what you can afford. That is what you can do. Focus on that one in the physical world. Now, there are a lot of things you can do for children. You can do for children when you are denied to see them. They will talk about them. Simple things like sending a postcard and things like that, Because I mentioned that there are three levels as a father you have to in this situation with exit fatherhood. You have to try to play around with. You have the physical world, things like seeing the child, physical support and stuff like that. Then you have the intellectual part, Are you aware of what this child is learning about? Are you there? Can you transform some important information to him as a man? It can be as simple as discussing what kind of books they like and stuff like that. Then there's the spiritual world of it all, you see. For us spiritually, look at our own African heritage, rites of passage, We have naming ceremonies, we have circumcision, we have birthdays, we have graduations, we have things like that. And you see, those are things that when you put all of them together, as a father, it's not very easy to become a deadbeat father because you already have three lanes you're working with. And the moment you have to understand that whenever fight becomes between parents, and not even between the father and the mother, it can be family issues, it can be political issues, it can be medical issues. A lot of issues come and people tend to separate. So for the men, is what I wanted to finish with is like, just understand appreciation is important, but you may do a lot and you feel like it's not appreciated. Just do what you can and focus on what you can. Now, do not fall victim.
Now, sir, before you sum up everything, let me just throw in a little bit, some spanners into the works. And first of all, let me invite everybody that is watching us online. We have Kiprho Rhoda, who says, Men'sDen, good evening, my people. Much love. Thank you so much. And of course, Zeddy Zax, go ahead and say, so unfortunate that we have these situations of deadbeats happening. And we have Nancy, who says, good evening. Good evening to you, Nancy. Meanwhile, let's see who else is here. Godi Segero, who tells me tuned in to the Men'sDen. Thank you so much. Everybody that is watching us on YouTube, thank you for the support. Continue doing this with us. I'm getting you live. Thank you so much, Edwin Den, for tuning in tonight. Fridah Nguku says, Mko vipi Men'sDen ArtsinHeart. Karibu sana Fridah. I believe we are all doing well tonight. We have again Kiprho on the YouTube channel saying, how does it feel seeing a woman raising your own flesh and blood, being raised by a woman, and yet you are there seated comfortably with your newfound family? Oof, that's a low blow. Oof. Oi, inauma. Sara and Njonjo goes ahead and say, Men'sDen, gentlemen, good evening to you. Thank you so much, Sara, for joining the conversation tonight. Lilian Penda Manchester. Okay. Sawa. Watu Arsenal tutasema nini? Tulishinda. But anyway, my friend, long time. Thank you so much for joining in, Lilian. Liliana, sorry, that's the name. Niko huku. Huyu ni beste yangu for long. Thank you so much. Karibu sana. And Boni Witaba says, strong in and watching. Let's now have James come in before I can bring in Gilbert mwenye alikuwa ameenda kutafuta mafuta ya kupaka lipstick zake juu yeye anakujaga kutandaza sana wanadada huku na story. Now, James, if you can hear me.
Unaona venye Gilbert anamesmile. The lip balm is working.
The lip balm is working. Hana dry spell anymore kwa lip zake. It's great to have you back, sir. So, James.
Yes, Eli.
The other day we had, one of these influential and a great columnist in the Nation Dailies, if I'm not wrong, Mr. Clay Muganda, and he made a story that, touched me the other end, and I was like, how is it possible you convert a man into a deadbeat and then everybody else in the society, using this name that Matasyo doesn't like, ends up blaming the man for actually staying away from the child, until this man tells us he meets the child at the age of 21 and they live in the same country, but the mother has purposely decided, huyu wangu hautamuona.
Thanks, Eli, and hi to everyone in the audience. Today you refused to give me a chance to give my salams. I think you've been bamboozled by Mr. Gilbert here. But anyway, having said that,
maintain class.
Having said that, number one, I want to first of all add a rider to something that I've heard my good friend, the African man, say, that unfortunately the man is usually the loser. Probably the child is more the loser than the man. Ultimately, when you look at it long term, it is the child who ends up losing more when they are denied either parent, either the mother or the father. Number two, again, I am not running away from the fact that there are men who are irresponsible. That's a fact that we can't run away from. Are they the majority or the minority? That is a question that we might never find the answer to. But unfortunately, because of stereotyping, a lot of good men who would want to take care of their children or their offsprings out there end up not getting that opportunity because of the perceived notion that just because I am not ready to live with you, now that is the mother, then I am not ready to support that child. Again, I want to echo what in both shows, both the previous show and this show, Matasyo has talked about. Again, unfortunately, when we talk about the term support, we want to classify support only as financial. Yet there's support in so many other ways. I like the way Matasyo explains it: the physical, the spiritual, and the Matasyo, what was the other one?
Intellectual is the
And the
word.
intellectual. I love the way he classifies them, because unfortunately, as a society, we only look at the financial, and the financial, we are not only looking at it in one dimension, but we are quantifying as per our wishes, as per the mother's wishes. And remember from the last show, we said, what if this man can afford 100 shillings? Does that disqualify him from being a father? Does that disqualify the child from having a father? Yeah. So there are all these dynamics, and unfortunately, at the tail end, the child is the end loser. Looking at this story again, you see, if the child is denied the father in this case, because we are talking about deadbeats, fathers, ultimately the universe has a way of aligning them together at the tail end. Look at that particular case that you're talking about, where these two meet after 21 years. Yeah. Ultimately, again, it is the mother who loses, because this child will wonder, why did my mother keep this guy all those years away from me? Yeah. So there are all those dynamics that we need to look at, that are not as simple or as straightforward as they may appear to be. Each case might need to be looked at independently, because two humans will not behave in the exact same circumstances, given the same set of conditions. So it's a complex web, but I feel that a lot of men out there are denied fatherhood by two things: financial angle and hurts from the mother or from the partner. Yeah. So the parting of this relationship was not well managed, such that one party was left hurting, and they end up using the child as payback. Yeah. So there are all those aspects. Yes, Ellie.
Yes, James, great that you say that. And I see the advocate and all-time favorite of the ladies is here, right to fire. I want to throw this to him and ask him, Mr. Gilbert, kindly make us understand why your favorite's gender tend to use children and money as a page of access to children. Why?
Good evening, our viewers. Now that Ellie never gave me a chance to introduce myself, I'm happy you got time to tune in. Thank you, everyone who is on the show. Now, on your question, Ellie, as I said last time, we need to separate between emotions and relationship. A relationship, once established, cannot be separated. Emotions change depending on the mood, depending on how we feel. Once the two are separated, if a mother and a father separate, emotionally, there's those that suffer, there are those that celebrate, or all suffer. That does not mean the relationship need to be redefined. And it's unfortunate, as a disclaimer, I don't want to use a fallacy of generalization that all ladies have that tendency. There are those who are willing to allow the father to their kids get to be part of their growth and development. But unfortunately, for those who use that as a tag to deny this kid fatherhood, there is no one. As I always say, you cannot play the two roles. You have your own role. There is the father's role in this kid's life. So when you use that, and mostly like for in our society, we quantify that in terms of money. And like money comes first and is like you have to pay this much, you have to do this much. Worse enough is when the mother says, I don't want your money, and I also don't want you in this life. No, it's not that they want your money. No, they don't want your money, and they don't want to see you. Now, that's where the problem comes, because Ellie, it's not your money that is needed. Neither are you the one needed there. So they don't need you like totally. And who suffers here, as James has said? It is the kid, not the two of you. Two of you will move on with your life, but you can never move on from your mother or your father. Your mother and your father remains forever. It's something that once it happens, it will remain to be a fact that your father is in a particular place. And worst of it all, when a mother or a father, for any circumstance, when the kid is now able enough to discover him or herself, when they start now retracing their steps and come to realize, my mother denied me a chance to have a moment with my dad, emotionally that kid has been ruined. It will take time to rectify that, because we don't understand the effect our 75%, as I always say, has on us. Because if you are raised in this environment, because as a kid you'll want to ask, who is my dad, who is my mom? And when all the time you are given a different story, just imagine after 21 years you come to realize the person I've been seeing all the time is my dad, and I didn't have a connection with him. Now, how is this kid now looking at the mom?
Good question. How is the kid looking at the mom? And, Eshuchi was on the bench last week, and he came with some fiery points there that I want us to discuss as we move on. But let's take a quick break. And when we're back, we want to talk more about the money issue, especially if the woman in the relationship ndio mwenye pesa. Mutajua Nairobi si yenyu. Mutajua who to worship in that town. But every Wednesday, catch the girls talk as they discuss matters. Ladies, tomorrow night they'll be discussing about their first time in what? Find out.
Juu anapenda chapati na hana pan. Uliona ile mimi msichana mwenye anaendanga kwa boyfriend na pan? Huyo msichana ni mimi. Nitaendelea
unabeba pan from your hostel to his hostel.
Nilikuwa naeka pan kwa kibeti, ninaenda kupikia boyfriend.
Lakini wewe Nyanduko, how are you even
mke nyumbani?
And welcome back, Muke Nyumbani, and all those kind of conversation happen every single Wednesday on the Girls Talk. So do join in. Remember, the hashtag is @TheArtsinHeart and Men'sDen tonight as we discuss matters men. Let me get very fast to the comment section and see who is saying what. Wycliffe Gaddafi tells me, Eli, say hi to Makomere Gilbert, my friend. And Makomere, unapokea salamu sana kutoka kwa Gilbert. Rather from Mr. Wycliffe anakusalimia hapa. Rhoda tells me, we never plan our future. We don't use children as bait. All we ask for is availability. Dads. Availability. Using children as pawns is never a good idea, says Nancy Magan. Thank you so much, Nancy, for your conversation with us. And of course, Wycliffe goes ahead and say, unajuaga Wycliffe akuja hapa nakujaga na mabom, so I have to be careful what I'm reading. I thought African men said you should avoid the term deadbeat because some women do force men to choose that direction. What I have to say to ladies before you give forth a child, ask yourself if you can take care of that child when the fathers are left your WhatsApp group. Don't just open. Okay. I told you guys I have to be careful with what you and we have
Gilbert's friend.
That's Gilbert's friend. I can see the kind of friends you work with, Gilbert, but it's all right. You have never been treated poorly by other parent during your relationship or marriage, but that should not impact your children's relationship with him or her. Okay, you may have been treated poorly, pardon me, by the other parent, but that should not impact the child's relationship with him or her. Mandugu, Eshuchi, and Matasyo. And this is where I want now to open the floor to have a discussion. Women that have money, what is it really? Let me use the word women, because now this is ladies. You know, I'm explaining when it comes to separation of past and children being born from that relationship. Why? Why is it a problem?
Can everyone hear me properly? Because Ellie's audio was a little hitchy.
Yeah, Ellie is mixed up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Am I
Yes.
am I
Okay.
giving you? Can I adjust my systems as you guys pick up?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Kindly
Yeah.
proceed, Eshuchi.
Yeah, so I don't know. This I usually find this one discussion that I find hard to tackle from a factual point of view, and I try to handle it from a realistic point of view because I consider myself a realist. And one thing that I know for a fact is that in any relationship that, of course, ends up or imminently ends up with a child in question, like James usually says, no parent wishes to be a bad parent to the kid. And I'm imagining that in every relationship that commences, I don't think there's a relationship that aims at, you know what, let's get together, give birth to a child, and then separate. These are circumstances that happen. But what I've noticed over time is both genders have an issue. And here I'll pull the gender card, because in my experience and probably a little research here and there, it is a little more obvious that women tend to envision the end of this whole thing. And when a woman is engaged with you, they probably see a future and they see the destination. So these hitches that come in here are not usually so much factored in. It is not in their makeup to hope or be pessimistic about the possibility of a failure in this engagement or whatever. And I think that is why in the event that the relationship doesn't work and a child is in question, then women tend to be affected a lot more emotionally. And now here, this is where I now bring the question of reaction. Like James says all the times, yes, we know we want to be rational. You know, humanity is a question of structure. But then we are just in our DNA basic as any animals in the wilderness there. We have our reactions, we have our aggressions, and we tend to react to issues differently depending on what our personalities are. And so, yes, women get affected so much emotionally, and it might lead to a lot of, let me say, unwise decisions, especially around. And James put it very well, very nicely, that when the breakup is not handled properly, then the aftermaths have a lot of spillovers into the decisions. What then I understand is perhaps men tend to have a slightly same point of view, and half the times it's usually I'll go back to Gilbert. Just give me a little time to get my point on. Gilbert says that we were talking statistics, and I'm assuming in most situations, unfortunately, you find it's the man who probably has the financial muscle, or it's the man that the woman is looking up to for financial muscles. Matasyo can talk about spirituality, intellectuality, and all that, but I think at the point of birth, every person, unless you're really the millionaires that Matasyo knows, everyone is just thinking about how to financially raise this kid. Everyone is thinking diapers. Everyone is thinking, at that particular point. And unfortunately, at that point, you find the man perhaps is the one that the woman looks up to. And so when this union is broken, then the woman starts looking at a situation where now there's gonna be a struggle. The emotions that dig into these then start really creating tensions around here and there. I honestly personally know of close friends who are, if you ask me, amazing dads. men who would yearn to see their children, but because they were not able. One of them, I hope he's watching, because I've had a discussion and he knows if he's an ardent follower. He tells me that the girlfriend, the ex made it clearly, if you cannot stay with us, then we do not want you. You get it? That is already a line. And I also know of men who've actually run away. You know, you ask them, hey, bana, I know of this and this and this. What is happening? And they just fly. So there's so many ways to look at this. But on finances, in conclusion, I'll tell you this clearly, Ellie. Idealistically, realistically, women out there will tell you, oh, Mimi, as long as we are together, Nini, I don't care how much you earn. I once dated one of the most honest women I think I ever dated. And one day in a very short talk, she told me this very realistically. She told me, listen, I would really love if you can make more money than me for us to be together in a union that is very amicable. And for a moment, I thought maybe she's being insensitive. And she broke it down to me. She told me, listen, if you make more money than me, in the current world, money is the decision maker. Like Jen says it, if you can pay for it, you make the decision. Money is the decision maker. So when the woman has more money, or maybe when the other person has more money, then it gives them the crown to make the decisions. If I can afford Moifoses and the mother of my child can afford Breban, then they're gonna take the kids to Breban, and I will feel like my manhood is being stripped off of me, because then I cannot make that decision. And that's why now women who have money, and I told you this before, you have not met a woman who has money and is keen to keep your kids away from you. You will not see them.
We have reaction from James, I see, and we have reaction from Gilbert. So I don't know who to go first.
Because James. I just want to tell you something that Eshuchi says. You remember all this again when we are looking at the boy child as we have continued this series. You remember there is a point where we talked about the boy child was left behind when we concentrated on women empowerment. Okay, so let's pick it up from there. For a very long time, the woman has perceptually and through culture and everything has taken a backseat. The man is deemed to be the provider. Yeah. And because, like my good friend here says, money talks, money decides, the woman's voice has always been shut down. Right? Now you find this situation where, and I want to tie this with the question you ask about when it is the woman who is earning more money. So the tables have turned and the woman is making more money than you are. And unfortunately, women are feelers. They use the emotion, they feel more than men. So she's making more money and she's feeling the hurt of the breakup. Okay? Trust you me, that child utaonea kwa view sasa.
Gilbert, as we proceed, because I want to come to you, Mr. Matasyo has been really passively waiting for the moment. But let's just get this one here. And like it says, your children may resent you later in life because of your behavior, and that's something we'll talk about later on. I hope so. Men'sDen, very true. Eshuchi leo unaongea kama watu 10 wa hiyo kampuni. And then we have Hilary Sang. Thank you so much for joining the conversation, sir. And he says people should read the rules of parenting. It will help you. It will help someone grow out of such. Wow. Kiprho, Rhoda, on the other hand, says, Mr. Lumumba, I beg to differ. You can't put men na kufikiria and budgeting in one bucket, or rather basket. Please don't say I'm being emotional. Men, face your responsibilities.
I like how Kiprho Rhoda talks and then reflects on herself and says, "Don't say I'm being emotional." I love that.
I see what you did there, Eshuchi. I see what you did there. but Ellie, on that Kiprho Rhoda's comment,
Yes.
why is she focusing on the aspect of responsible men while we're also looking at, for example, the example that you gave of this 21-year gap in relationship? Yeah, there's this man who wanted to take care of the daughter, and I don't know, I'm not sure whether it's the daughter or the son, and
the
mother
daughter.
kept the mother kept the daughter away for 21 years until they later had to meet, I think, through Facebook. Yeah, so that man, we can't put him in the same basket with the responsible parents, and we're saying there are both sides to the story. It's just that, and this is where I was coming with the stereotyping. For a very long time, men have been perceived as hit and run, and it has been thought that all men are hit and run, such that even when they genuinely want to offer their support, the woman already has some preconceived ideas that block this relationship with the child. And we can clearly see in these comments.
Guys, don't get personal here. As you said, those are opinions. They are supposed to be allowed to express them. Gilbert, before we move to Matasyo, because Matasyo, for once, pause with the pen and just get to the conversation. Just
Matasyo wako na encyclopedia.
Okay, Gilbert, go ahead, sir.
To me, Ellie, I would want to differ with what Eshuchi said. Men, we need to get it right. It's not just,
go ahead.
It's not just about money. I said, Matasyo said, just like to the child, your availability is very important. How many people in this world have money and we know they have money?
The friends of Matasyo.
The friends of
millionaires.
Matasyo. Yeah, we know they have money. It's not money that dictates. If it was money that dictates, some people do your statistics well. Huh? Sometimes figures don't lie. Most of those people who are rich, they have divorced their wives. So it's
what
not.
What are you trying to tell us, Gilbert?
It's not money that counts. There are
that
very
is
many.
poverty that keeps marriages.
Money.
I'm ready to be broken.
Ellie, money is a factor, just like fuel to a car, but it's not the only thing that makes the car move. And we have said, and that's where we men get it wrong. Women expect a lot from us. It's not your money, Ellie. Ellie, I don't want you put. Hujaisikia msichana akiuliza, I was not married to come and fill this house. I need you in this house. Mtu atakwambia acha tulale njaa but tuko pamoja. Hii maneno you are
only for the
out.
first night, bro. Only for the first night they can sleep hungry. Because you're offering other forms of sustainability projects.
Ellie, the same way you are not available all the day. You can also be unavailable every time you're needed in your house. You need to balance. And that's why I'm saying there are many factors to a relationship. But we lose it when we choose one. And that is the factor. We have said here, it's not money that decides your parenting peke yake, so that a woman just uses it to bar away the dad from seeing the kid, simply because maybe they cannot meet it or what. And when these people are differing earlier, as we've said, hiyo handle vile James amesema, handling the breakup, it is the problem. And sometimes we always say we don't know what surely happened. Inaweza kuwa someone lacked somewhere, that's why they are being bad, or how you treated this woman before you left them.
What about how you treated the man, sir, and the man is still willing to take care of his business, sir?
It can be the same way, Ellie. Now, reconciliation here is the problem. Handling emotions of people who are apart is the problem. Now, when they are struggling to handle the emotion, everyone on their own, the kids are the one who suffer here. My interests are the kids, not the money.
And then you end up with a deadbeat father. Then you call them a deadbeat father.
Or any other thing. Ellie, if you can't take care of your mess, and sometimes as men, we'll want to get reasons All the time we'll want to get reasons, even
Bro,
where we were.
listen,
Ellie.
let's
Now-
just have a very
Ellie.
candid discussion here.
Ellie, we are having a candid discussion. A candid discussion means the same way we demand that women understand is the same way we demand men should understand. And even
But
in
then
this
again,
conversation,
but then again,
listen,
Gilbert,
Ellie.
I differ with you.
Ellie, listen.
I
Before,
disagree.
no, it's okay. Gilbert,
no, I
go ahead.
think
Make your
we're
point,
we're
sir.
not. We are,
Let Gilbert make his point.
You hear why this is where the problem come. I wanted it to come out this way so that you hear how men react. They always think they have monopoly of ideas and information. You heard when Eshuchi talked about the woman earning more than you, she will be deciding. So your problem is not the money. The problem is she can make superior decisions more than you. Listen to what Charles Njonjo was asked when he was asked, why did you marry late? He said he had to prepare himself before he got married. And how do you manage your relation? He said, I make very big decisions like hii nyumba imefagiliwa leo, kuna vyombo, kuna nini. But it's serious, but very small scale, Ellen.
You know what?
Small
Let's
scale.
give a fair share of everybody. Gilbert.
just a minute.
Very small decision like design ya hii nyumba yafaa ikaje. Very small decisions like vitu za hii nyumba yafaa zikaje. It's my woman who makes it. That's why I've lived in peace with her.
Let me ask Gilbert.
The time
Gilbert, let me ask you.
will realize that is the way and stop thinking we were created before them. We have to make decision for them. We have to, like, we are everything. That's the time.
Let me tell you, Gilbert. Gilbert, I have a reaction. Okay, maybe James should go first. James has been fighting.
No,
for this. Matasyo,
James,
No, just a question. Mine is just a question.
Okay,
Mine
go
is
ahead
just
with the
a question.
and let's have Matasyo coming in.
Because I think where we are losing it is I am focusing on where the man actually wants to support, and then he is barred by the woman. That is my focus.
Yes.
Yeah. And I feel like we are putting a blanket. Yeah. Because the conversation is around.
James?
No, the conversation is around why would a woman refuse a man to support a man who is already willing to support their offspring? That's where we are coming from.
Do you need an answer?
Definitely.
Sometimes we are never told the root cause of why the woman feels that I don't want you to see my kid. And that is
And who is the
therefore,
end loser?
With that as a fact, Gilbert, if we're not told the root cause, then you'd realize that you're already sowing yourself with the same point, because then that means then you do not have a leeway to have a bias on this point of view, because you equally do not know where the rain started beating people from. You get it? At the beginning, when I was making my point at the very beginning, I said we have the idealistic world, and I have a big I can tell you're living the idealistic world. Then we have the reality, and the reality has a lot of dynamics in it, Mr. Gilbert. Yes, we know what is right, and that is the world. We always know what needs to be done, but is it always obvious that we'll do what needs to be done? So where is the gray area? Where do we lose what we need to be done? Back to Ellie. Ellie wants to catch me.
Yes, we really must get ahead with this conversation, because Matasyo is not very happy with me, and this is nothing personal, Matasyo. I know you got a great dictionary and encyclopedia to have. Let's take a quick one, and we back. And Matasyo, as you prepare to come back and give us some of your knowledgeable snippets, I want you to address this. We have talked about women that have the money, but we want to talk about the women that are only looking for seed suppliers. Is that a reason why they lock us out and call us baby daddies who are deadbeats? We find out when we come back.
It's some kids, it gets them, it feels like, oh, so it's me. So it seems I'm the problem. Then they start developing guilt consciousness on issues whereby if skills like labeling is addressed well, in case there's a problem with kids, if you have a house help, you have a parent, kindly separate the person from the problem. Address the problem, spare the person. Attack the problem, spare the person.
And definitely, as we try to attack this problem, we want to spare a quite number of men who have been always on the receiving end. And tonight, wanaume tunawatetea. But of course, the very well-educated advocate of the girl-child right is equally in this panel. We are not giving him an easy time. Matasyo Kagwa, the African man, give us your points.
Yes, thank you very much, our listeners and the whole panel. I see you are getting into a very heated discussion, as always, men we do. But I just want to bring the whole wagon back on track clearly. What we're really focusing on is fathers denied fatherhood. You understand? Fathers denied fatherhood. When you say denied, that means your right has been taken away. It means your right has been taken away. So we are looking at a clear particular people who are doing their best, but one of their rights, access to their children, has been denied. It can be many ways. It can be legal, but yet the case was fake. We have seen cases where people, they bandika cases on fathers, amefanya hivi, you are not allowed to see the children. You understand? Yes. So for me, I look at it on a holistic way. As an African man, you look at it a holistic way. First of all, you have to, if you don't have that problem, first of all, you have to avoid to end up into that problem. So that's where I say holistically. And first of all, to avoid this problem, you have to be very careful to identify the red flags. These red flags appear in many ways. And as I said, just use a very simple tactic. Look at the presence you are with this person. How do you communicate? Look in the past of this person, the stories they say, what they talk about. And sometimes in my tradition, they always tell you before you get a girl, you send somebody in that village. They ask what kind of a mother does she have? What kind of uncles are existing there? These are very typical African way of identifying the red flags so that you do not end up being denied your rights. So first, rule number one, try to identify the red flags. In many areas, you can identify it, yeah? Okay, now, then the next thing is to also avoid being denied this. Always try to understand the laws of the land where you are, especially for us people in diaspora. Some of us, you may be surprised that actually both parents have equal rights to a child here in Europe. So actually, hata mkiongea hizo vitu, hata ukuwe na pesa hapa, hata ukuwe millionaire, I will get a free lawyer and I just see my children. So when you understand the laws of the land, you know for yourself where you can survive. Yes. And then the final one, for men, keep the 3 lanes. If the physical world is disturbing you, you don't have enough money, do the best there, try the education world. Some things like you're in diaspora, maybe intellectual, maybe you like your child to learn Swahili. Try to buy him some Swahili videos, make him interested in that. So that's another intellectual world, a language. Maybe 10 years later, he will realize, hey, this Swahili is very important. So those intellects, and then the spiritual world. Be involved, birthdays, ceremonies, baptism, things like that. You see, all those things. And very important, while you're identifying the red flags, while you're building the relationship, my friend, also build your own culture. Because women, as we speak, I'm not an expert in that area, but I'm sure born with brothers and sisters, they will always react to things fast emotionally. Even men, we do. But the decision making will be based to that. Sometimes women don't want to see some of the men with the children just because they are afraid. They don't trust. These guys can even fall on a child. Even me, I've had that insecurity. Sometimes you think, maybe she's too tired, she's too sick. If she sleep with this 2 months, one week old baby, she may sleep on the baby and collapse. Some of these things are very personal. Yeah. So when you know all those areas and you play on the 3 lanes, identify the flags, know the laws of the land, keep to the 3 lanes. And then for the women, for us men, we have to understand this thing of saying, oh, when women get money. Let us think of the culture that when the culture changes, you understand? For example, look at the career-wise. When you look at 50 years ago, women and career, it was very different than now. So from that perspective, we see that also women are going through some serious changes in their decision-making. You understand? They sometimes may deny to see the child because they're already fully with their career. They even wanting the time to be with the children. So at the end of the day, it may be not that you are a bad person, but they are so busy with their career. The remaining time they're spending with the children, they don't even see it being shared. So you asked me about these seed suppliers. They're there. They're seed suppliers. They're women who are.
No, we are not suppliers. We have been created to be suppliers. Please get my question correctly.
No, I'm saying the question of these women looking for seed suppliers. That mentality is there. Just in as much as some women go in for wealth. And we talked a lot about money. Somebody told me one time in relationships, you see, young people confuse money to be wealth. You understand? Young people confuse money to be wealth. And we start to quantify. And you see somebody, a young lady mentality, advertising herself as saying, I put my bride price as 12 million. I told you, some of my friends go on a date with 12 million. So, that is where
you're
Matasyo's millionaire.
Matasyo tuma kitu bana. Matasyo tuma kitu.
So those are the things you have to be careful. So man, don't be worried. Play your lane. You know, if you are a bicycle, are you a guy? Play your bicycle for your kid, and that's it. Yeah. So
and if they have a Jaguar like you, ride your Jaguar.
You see, even in Africa, we see like some people are very rich, but they decide to use the name of a wheelbarrow instead of a helicopter. People like to drive and
Matasyo, you'll be the end of the Men'sDen once you finish all of us. But then again, thank you so much for your point. Let's see here. Okay, where did we stop? We have Jakita who tells us, and good evening, Jakita. True, there are always two versions of a story, and people tend to listen to one who speaks louder. Awesome. Most of the time it's the lady anyway. We have Mr. Makomere. Thank you. Lazima hii life ikuwe na balance. This life, no balance. Kiprho, Rhoda. Early stop. Gilbert is making a very important point, and to be honest, I gave Gilbert all the latitude, so I am not guilty of any offense. And Nancy Magan, we should always focus on the children's well-being rather than on the parents' antics, because in the end, we as parents want to raise healthy, well-adjusted children who can live independently and successful lives. Very deep, and thank you so much for that contribution. We have Claire Andashi who says, Gilbert, I'm getting you loud and clear. Gilbert, wewe hapa leo ni moto. It is muliro, fire, by Waswa Derrick. Thank you so much, Waswa. And again, let's okay, I'm gonna sample more of the comments that are coming in. True, Gilbert, you are right, even though your fellow team doesn't support you. #ArtsinHeart. Matasyo, you must be from my area. Hapo kwa kutuma mtu achunguze msichana kwetu ni kama nimekwama. Indeed, African man. Thank you so much, Andashi.
I want to react. I want to react to Andashi. I want to react. I tell you, me and my dad zinakwanga tu, we just have stories. So my father, one day, out of nowhere, this is some guy we never talk about anything that is relationship hakuna. Then one day, anapiga randa. Mimi nimembebea penseli. Mimi nilikuwa mtu wa mkono, akipiga randa nampatia pencil na mark. Then he tells me, out of nowhere, I'll translate it because he said it in Luya. Akaniambia, when you grow up, na siku moja upatane na msichana, ukianza kuangalia wasichana huko nje, angalia mguu ya msichana, angalia vidole vya mguu. Ukiona vidole vimetapakaa, achana na wewe. Aliambia kwanza, alitumia tashbihi akasema, ukiona vidole vimetapakaa vinafanana tangawizi. achana na huyo msichana. Huyo nisumbua, atakusumbua. I don't know. For some reason, okay, you know these interesting stereotypes. I think it's also a stereotype. But true to now to it, you know the problem with such advices, zinaingia kwa kichwa bana. So unajipatanga tu subconsciously unaangalia, hizi mrembo ni mrembo lakini hizi vidole bana.
These toes, they are like that.
Zimekata.
I digress. Back to point.
Okay, gentlemen, we have 5 minutes left, and in these 5 minutes, I want us to really bring this to a conclusion. And Gilbert is shaking his head. He seems unhappy with that announcement, but then again, we must continue. So, gentlemen, if we have to put this to rest, we have established that indeed they are deadbeat men, and indeed there are equally circumstances that can lead to that. But what is the best way forward? Gilbert, you're shaking your head. Can you hear me?
No, let me start so that we can give Gilbert the last take, so that he can wrap it for us.
Okay.
You say, and we agree that they are deadbeats, and we are not running away from that fact, and we are not encouraging it. In fact, I think we already have a consensus that as men we need to be responsible. Yeah, so that's already a consensus. I think the question today was, what happens to that man who wants to be responsible yet he is denied the chance? Now, Eshuchi says there is the real and the ideal. The ideal, and especially you people who are in Europe will tell us that you need to go the legal way. Use a lawyer and go to court, and but we know again that is just, especially in some of us who are in these parts of the world, it's just an ideal. It remains an ideal. The situation on the ground is different. Yeah, at times. And it pains because I also know a few friends here and there who are trying their best to get to get into their children's lives, but they are not allowed to. And even if we followed what my good friend Matasyo is saying, and we tried to look at the three realms, financial or physical, or you try the intellectual or the spiritual, what happens in the situation where the mother or whoever is the custodian of the child has completely barred you from all those avenues? So I know my friend Gilbert will say use the legal system, but he needs to understand Europe and Africa times are different. So my parting shot would be, I think we just need to mature up, both men and women. We just need to mature up. Yes, we've hurt each other along the way. Yes, one or both of us are hurting, but look at the bigger picture. It's the child that matters, and we need to put the child's interest first. That is my take.
Great. Go ahead, Gilbert, before we lose you again, because tonight tumekuwa traffic lights.
Sorry for my sound hitch. I would just want to say early for feminists, no, the world is different. For men with masculine toxicity in them, no, the world is different. The subject of the matter here is the kid. Our differences should not make these kids suffer. However much our emotions try to control us, all the time, let us think about the kids. I might not love you. I might not want to see you. I might not want anything to do with you. But the fact of the matter is that I have your kid. You can have access, participate. I always say, be part and parcel of that child's development and growth. That is the most important thing for me.
Awesome. I know if I allow Matasyo to go last, we will have another lecture, but let him go before Eshuchi. Matasyo.
No. It wouldn't be much. I think, I was just asking one thing, to look at it from another angle. Do you ever guys think of deadbeat bachelors? But you can laugh about that. It goes back to the point that I agree with a lot that we discussed, and I'm more like let's focus on solutions. And I think we cannot solve women's problems, but we can solve men's problems. Understand? And I see some of us, we really like to put the blame, but I insist on the fact that there are so many ways in which you have to understand your rights, your responsibilities, and your possibilities. What we do not really put in consideration is how can we men teach each other what are our rights, what are our responsibilities, and what are our possibilities. I just react to what he said that people say on the ground in Kenya and the legal ways and stuff. It's not only about the legal ways. I can tell you I've come from very, very complicated family situations with 3, 4, 5 generations. Even where women come, they come, they make one of your brothers pregnant, they disappear, even they don't know. They're in there with a goat.
That's indeed a strange generation. Women come and make your brother pregnant. This is a story we must discuss, sir. This is a story we must
Become
discuss.
pregnant from your brother, I mean, yeah? And then they disappear. So getting pregnant by your brother, I mean, sorry. So all those things, but if you look clearly, there is always ways in which culturally, historically, traditionally, it has happened before, and solutions have been there. So that's why I'm really against these things of using deadbeat fathers, deadbeat what, because then we are avoiding to find out the solution. Sometimes it's very close there. So for me, it is still an idea of there are so many ways to identify the red flags, to find the solutions, and to avoid getting to the problem as men. But this one of responding to women, some of the women's problems, they don't exist when we look there, because at some point you just have to find out you will afford what you can afford. And if people don't appreciate that, somebody will always atakutukananga na ile kidogo napeana.
Awesome.
Matasyo
Kagwa, thank you so much for your time and your contribution. It is clear, in fact, the word kababa out of the box, X.
Yes.
And now, tonight, he's cancelled another word, deadbeat, X. I'm wondering what will be the next one. But Eshuchi, you parting shot, sir.
I try not to fight with spilt milk. So right now, from where I sit, I want to count all the deadbeats and whatever situations out there as insalvageable. We can't sort that. I will go back to the source. I think I'm someone who solves solutions from the cause. Unlike Europe, and you see this, I think it's a civilization thing or a modernization thing. I think we need to get to a point where we have difficult conversations in relationships when they're still at an elementary level. Discuss things as sensitive as the eventualities of co-parenting in case it ends there. Because a lot of the problems that we face today are as a result of things that were not discussed because they were either not deemed important or because two people were on two separate pages. I wanted to have fun. You were on a relationship. You were on a marriage mission. I was in a mere relationship. We end up with a child. We did not discuss this eventuality. And now because our priorities are misaligned, our expectations are misaligned, my expectations of you are slightly lower than your expectations of me. And then now we start having these fights. I think that is what really builds up and expands the emotional bit of it. So I think for the future, my parting shot would be, have the difficult conversations. If you're going to have sex for fun, if you're going to have a relationship that should graduate into something, then know the eventualities of a possible offspring. And even with the possible offspring, be open-minded enough to accept that the the possibility of ending up separated is there. What happens to the child? Once this is tackled at an earlier level, I think we would not be having a lot of these discussions in the end. But for the deadbeat dad who exists right now, I mean, let's just live the life, you know.
In Swahili, what Eshuchi said is twishi tu. Twishi. Bora uhai. Have a great evening as we partake in other conversation. Remember to join the Girls Talk tomorrow night as they take us to another level of My First Time. Find out what happened on their first time and what exactly it entails. Tomorrow from 9:30 p.m. East African time and of course 8:30 p.m. Central European Summer Time. The handles is The Arts in Heart on Facebook, The Arts in Heart Official on YouTube. And gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on site tonight, because we must have this difficult conversation, including sex is not just for fun. Have a great night. God bless you.
Kwenye shida ama kwenye furaha.